What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you so much for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and today we are joined by the team over at Bloo. Bloo is a project management platform that includes boards, calendars, to-dos, files, assignees, and more to keep everything organized and efficient. It is on AppSumo right now, starting at $49 for a lifetime deal. But before we dive into the walkthrough, I just want to tell you all a few quick things. The first is that if you want to tell us a little bit about your use case, why you're interested in this tool, you can go ahead and do that over in the chat room. The second is that if you have any questions about the tool, the deal, how to get set up, go ahead and leave those questions in the Q&A box down below this video, and we will circle back to them at the end of the walkthrough. We do have somebody here to answer the questions as they come in, but of course, if you're watching the replay, then you will stay tuned to the end where we will answer those questions. And of course, if you need to step out, this replay will be available for you a couple hours after we're done recording. All right, that is it for me. Hey, Manny, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm very well, thank you.
I am
Awesome.
excited to have you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to you for the walkthrough. I'm going to turn off my camera and kind of disappear. And you can just let me know when you're ready for the Q&A.
Cool, awesome. That's fine. So I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Looks good. All
right, awesome. So yeah, welcome to Bloo. I'm just using the Mac app right now, but you can also access it on the web or on iOS and Android. So essentially, when you first log in, you'll basically get to your home screen and you'll see some overdue to-dos that you might have. You'll also see your kind of recent activity you can click through, and also you'll see your kind of recently active team members as well. So going from the kind of left-hand sidebar, so we can go on all activity, and that will basically show you an activity feed from all your projects combined into one, which is really useful as you're kind of catching up on your day and you want to just go through all your projects and see what's happened. So for instance, I can do that right now, and I can see all the kind of discussions, etc., that people have been having on Bloo, right? And a lot of that, funnily enough, has to do with the AppSumo feedback that we've had in the last week, which is kind of cool. What we can also do here, and you can do this on a lot of screens, is actually filter by date. So for instance, I can say, okay, well, let's look at last month, and I'll instantly get my entire feed filtered by last month, and I can kind of go back in time and see what happened. Yeah, the other thing you can do is also anytime that you're assigned to do in any project, either you assign it to yourself or somebody assigns it to you, that will end up in my to-dos. So essentially, that's your way of tracking what you need to get done through your day. So you can see here, for instance, I've got quite a few items. Some of these are actually overdue as well. And I can actually click in and then see an item as well, or mark it as done. And I can also sort by name, sort by start date and due date, and even search right from here. And then finally here, we've got the calendar function. So this is actually a cross-project calendar, which is really, really useful, especially for people that are running kind of creative agencies or any kind of professional service businesses where you have lots of different projects all at the same time. And sometimes it's good to sort of take a step back and get a calendar view where you can see all your projects in one place. And the cool thing here is that you can actually apply filters to this. So you can actually filter by different types of projects, but also by people as well, which is pretty cool because, for instance, if you've got a design team, you can actually filter down to a particular designer, and you can see all their work that's coming up across different projects. If you're lucky enough not to work on the weekends, you can also just hide the weekend view and you have a little bit more focus there as well. And you can easily navigate back to previous months or even skip ahead. Cool, so that's kind of the overall tools to see what's going on generally in your company. And then on the sidebar here, which I've got closed at the moment, you actually have your list of projects. So I'm going to show you Bloo HQ. This is actually the real project that we use every day to build Bloo. So you can see that we actually have a lot of ideas and a lot of things in our backlog that we kind of want to do. And we've also got, like any other software, we've got some bugs, and then we've also got the AppSumo user feedback. And essentially, this is our kind of Kanban board view. So if you've used any other project management systems, you'll be probably quite familiar with this view. And you can basically drag and drop columns around, as well as move to-dos through a particular process. And you can have pretty much as many columns as you want. And also at the right-hand side, you can then create new columns as you need. So obviously, every project is different. It's going to have a different process. It's going to have a different number of columns, but this kind of gives you a lot of flexibility. Yeah, then you can pretty much go and create in any column. You can basically create a to-do, and that will instantly appear on everybody else's screen that's also viewing the board, because the board is actually real time as well. And yeah, we can then go and click on a particular item, and then you'll see that you'll get the individual to-do view. So we've got the usual things such as the due date. You can actually set the start and end date, which is pretty good. You can also set multiple assignees as well. So this is pretty handy if you've got more than one person who needs to keep an eye on things. And then you can apply tags. So you'll see a list of tags that are already available here in the project, or I can go ahead and actually create a brand new tag by giving it a name and then selecting a color. I'll circle back to the add more fields button, but that's pretty interesting, essentially where you can actually manage your custom fields. You've also got a description area here, so you can essentially write some text or upload some files. And the cool trick here is that if you drop an image into the description, that will then show up as a preview on the board as well. So that's a nice way to create sort of a mood board, or to be able to see images at a glance. And then we've also got a few checklists here. And the same thing, checklist items within a checklist can also have their own start date and due date, and they can also have multiple assignees as well. So you can actually assign several people to the same thing. On the right-hand side, we've then got basically every time we've got an activity feed within each to-do, and that's pretty good because it tells you what's happened, the history of that item. And so you can see here, every time something happens, every time a checklist is created, or a due date is set, or even the name is changed, this is always updated here and tracked, and that's really, really useful. Then on here, on these three buttons, you've basically got a couple of simple options. You can actually copy the to-do across to a new project. And this is pretty smart because we also allow you to pick what you want to copy across. So sometimes it's, you might want to copy something to a new project, but you don't want all the comments attached to that, and so on. And yeah, you can also, with a couple of clicks, move that to any other project, which is pretty useful. Yeah, so this is actually just one view, and we've got a few other views. So this is board. We've got the list view, which you've seen in my to-dos just now. And then we've also got the calendar view as well. So every project also comes with its own calendar. And the cool thing here is that you can actually drag and drop to change the due date and start dates. And you can also stretch things out as well. So you can actually build your timelines visually. So moving back to the board, there's also these other buttons here are basically filters. So for instance, I can decide that I want to filter by a specific tag. So let me see, I only want to see the bugs available in Bloo. I can filter by bugs, and then I can see all the bugs and where they're at in our process. And for instance, we've fixed 135 bugs in this project over time. And you can do the same with people as well. And you can also mix and match filters. Another nice trick is that you can actually click on somebody's kind of avatar or profile image, and that will actually filter the board immediately, right? And then I can kind of mix and match that with, okay, I'm filtering by one person and then priority high, right? So yeah, and then click again and that will unfilter, and it's pretty quick. And the other thing you can do as well is filter by keyword. So for instance, if I'm looking for a specific item, for instance, I'll type French, and then I'll instantly find, okay, there's only one item that's got the word French in it, and this is here. And then I can click on that, and I can see that we've been starting 3 days ago to translate Bloo and French. And then I can actually clear that filter, and then I'll instantly have that view there again. So I think one thing that really sets Bloo apart in terms of, especially on the board view as well, first of all, it's quite good looking, but we've also got this this little figure here on the right, and this is a feature called automations. And essentially the idea is that we kind of figured out that during the course of any project, there's like a lot of repetitive actions that people need to take, wherever it's, you know, marking something as complete or adding a tag when something is moved to a particular list, and so on. And so to basically cut down on all this manual work, we built this kind of automation engine, and you can create a whole bunch of different rule sets that will then automatically trigger based on actions. And it's really, really simple to set up, because you basically say, okay, well, when something happens, and then you've got a whole bunch of different choices, right? So for instance, when a new to-do is created under feature ideas, then I can decide, okay, well, what action do I want Bloo to take on my behalf, right? So for instance, I could say, okay, well, I want that to be assigned to me, because I like to keep on top of all new ideas. And then I can also add additional actions as well. So for instance, I can change the due date, and I can put a relative due date. So for instance, I can give myself, 7 days to take a look at this particular item. And then I can also, for instance, add a tag, right, as an example. So, under review. So I can actually chain a whole bunch of different actions to a particular trigger. Yeah. And then I can actually enable that, and I've got a preview here. Now, this is something that only administrators can actually edit in a project, but then all the other users can actually see what automations are on. And then you can easily pause these if you need, or you can even go back and actually edit these as well. And then you'll notice that we've got sort of this question mark button, and there's a lot of, I think help is very, very important as you're using software. So for instance, if you click on this, you'll actually get our pop-up help on the right-hand side that will actually teach you how to use automations. And then if you want to speak to either myself or Sarah on the team, you can actually do that either by email or chat right within Bloo. So, we're always only a few clicks away. Yeah, so that's pretty much a summary of the Kanban board and the to-do views, which is probably the main working area of Bloo. We've got a few other tabs here on the project as well. One is an activity, and this is pretty much the same as the all activity that we saw on the sidebar here, except that this is specific to this one project. And again, I can filter by date. If an item has this kind of light blue shading, it means that this is something that you actually haven't seen before. And then you can actually click through and read what it is. Then, then we've got discussions. So basically this is basically replacing email. So instead of having to do email chains, you can actually create a new discussions, and then people can reply to them. So this is a pretty handy way to discuss things that are not particularly tasks or to-dos, but are just more like general updates. Then we've got updates. This is basically, you can inform your team how you're doing, and you can choose from 3 different statuses. I can say, hey, I'm feeling awesome. I can write a small description, and then I can post that up as well. And then finally here, last 2, we've got the files tab. Essentially, anytime that you upload files to any discussion or any comment or any to-do, these will also be shown here. So this is a nice way to quickly be able to see what's been uploaded, and you can actually preview the files as well, and then navigate through them, or you can select multiple of them and download them all at the same time. You can obviously delete them, and also you can locate them. So if you're wondering, okay, this is an interesting file, what was the discussion around this file? You can then click locate, and it will take you to, it will open the to-do where this file was actually uploaded originally. Now, one of the cool things, and we've also got a few different, we've got a different view as well for files. So you can also choose list view, and then you can actually sort by, for instance, size, type, and upload date as well. And I think one of the really awesome points for, especially for AppSumo users as well, is that Bloo supports basically unlimited file storage. So we don't have any caps on how many gigabytes of storage you can use, or how much traffic or downloads you can have. And yeah, and we actually support files up to 5 gigabytes in size, which is quite rare. Most project management tools kind of put a cap at sort of 200 megabytes or 1 gigabyte, which is not great, especially if you deal with things like videos or big creative files. And so Bloo is pretty good for that as well. And then finally, you can actually just drag and drop files onto this screen right here to upload, or you can even click the upload button, and then you can basically select some files and start to upload them. And you can upload multiple files at a time, and you don't even have to wait for them to be uploaded. You can actually continue using Bloo, switch projects, and that will upload in the background. So very much like you would expect from, say, Google Drive. Yeah, I think the only other thing to say, we also, for videos, you can actually play them directly in Bloo. So that's also pretty handy if you just want to check something out without downloading the entire file. And then finally, people. So in terms of user permissions, and this is something that we get asked a lot. So there's essentially 5 levels. We've got the admin, who's basically the manager of the project. We've got team members. So these are normally people that are actually working in your company or with you in your team. And they've also got a pretty expansive abilities. And then we've got the client who can access the project, but he can't create new projects. And then if you really need to give fairly restrictive access, you've got a comment only and also view only access as well. So then, people can just see the project, but they can't edit it at all, or they can sort of drop comments on things, but they can't create new to-dos or anything like that. I'm guessing we'll probably have some questions around custom permissions as well. That's definitely something that we want to do next year, because I think it's really, really powerful as a feature. But for now, we've got these five levels of accesses, and that's pretty good for mostly for agencies and client side members. Cool. So that's a pretty comprehensive overview of projects. I do want to go back to one thing, however. We have the ability to also set custom fields, and this is pretty powerful because depending on how you use Bloo, so for instance, if you're going to be using it to, like we are, to track your product development, or you're going to use it as a sales CRM or something else, like a social media calendar, sometimes you'll need to basically tweak Bloo to your liking, right? And this is how you do it. Essentially, you click on Add Fields, then you can create a custom field. You can give it a name, and then you can select what type of field you want. And we've got a lot of choices here. It can be single select, a multi-select. It can be a checkbox. We've got ratings and also things like email, phone numbers, currencies, etc. So there's a lot to choose from. So you can basically define your own data structure. And again, this is fantastic if you really want to have everything organized. And then if you choose fields like email or phone numbers, you'll then have abilities to actually call people through Bloo in one click, and it will default to either your phone or laptop calling software. And the same thing with email. You can, with one click, you can open your email software and actually call people. So yeah, and I think what's really powerful next year is that once we come out with our API, if you have your data structured really well, you'll then be able to connect to a whole bunch of other tools and actually use that data as well. Yeah, the other thing I think, which I've always found really annoying in a lot of project management softwares, and part of the reason why I kind of built my own to begin with, is actually notifications. And I never could find the right balance between being flooded full of notifications but still being able to keep up with what's important to me. So we were quite careful in how we built our notification system, and that's available just on your top right. Essentially, you've got a master switch at the top, so you can basically turn this off. Say it's 5 p.m. or it's a weekend and you don't want to be disturbed, you can just turn that off. But when you turn that on, we actually have we save your settings, right? Then you can essentially choose how you want to be notified based purely on all the different notifications that we actually send out. And you can simply choose, okay, do I want to receive an email, or do I want a push notification either on my desktop or on one of our mobile apps. Cool. And yeah, and then you can also decide which projects you want to follow. So you can actually turn notifications off on a per project basis. And this is really useful because sometimes, you need to be involved in a project and you need to be able to see what's going on, but you don't want to be pinged every time something is happening. So this is really great even for managers who can pretty much just turn that off and still have access to the underlying data. Then you'll see that there's a notification bell here with a 2. Essentially, this says that 2 people have actually tagged me in a comment, and then I can actually click on that to read it, or I can mark that as read as well. So that's pretty cool, and you can also filter for unread mentions as well. The other thing with notifications is that you can see, for instance, here at the bottom, I've got company matters, and I've got number 7. So that basically says that there's 7 things that I haven't seen in this project since the last time I went into it. So if I click on that 7, I'll get taken to the project activity, and then I'll have items highlighted in blue that I haven't seen before. So that's pretty useful too. Yeah, a few other little bits with project settings. You can actually archive a project. So that will basically lock it down so nobody can modify any of the data, but all the original members in the project can still view the data. And then that will be moved from the projects here. It will go down to archived projects. And then you can instantly unarchive the project if you want, and that will move back up. So it's a nice way that once you've wrapped up a project, it doesn't sort of crowd out your project's toolbar, and it goes into a separate section. Yeah, we also have a whole bunch of useful resources, from support to our roadmap and to links to download the iOS and Android app as well, and our user guide on the left here under resources. Finally, I guess a few cool things. We do have dark mode, which is very popular, especially people working at night. And then also we have real-time search. So for instance, I can search pizza, and then that will instantly find the the one result that's got pizza in it, and then I can kind of click on that and see the to-do that has that. So yeah, so that gives you a pretty good overview of Bloo. I think I've covered pretty much all the main features. I say the key idea is to really have something that's simple and that anybody can use pretty much immediately. And in our experience, we also run a design agency, and we often invite our clients into Bloo, and we don't really have to teach them anything. They just join, and then we start working with them right away. And that's really the aim of what we're doing here, because a lot of other systems, you can't do that. You have to train your clients, and they forget how to use it and so on. So this is a little bit different. It's simple, and yet it's powerful. Yeah, so I think, Lindsay, that's a pretty comprehensive tour.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And shout out to Sarah, who's already answered all of the questions in the Q&A box. Sumo so if you have any more that you would like to submit, you can go ahead and send those in now. I do want to go through some of these, though, because of course, people watching the replay are going to have some of these questions too. So the first question, this one's probably agencies and such. They want to know, how can you set this up to be used with clients so that they can be assigned tasks?
Yeah, great question. So with that, essentially, if you're, I do have my agency account here, but unfortunately, because it's recorded, I wouldn't be able to share those projects. However, just to give an example, essentially, you would invite customers into Bloo. So under people, you would add people, go to client, and then basically type, and you can put multiple email addresses here at the same time. So you would add all the clients that belong to this project, and then you would hit add. And then that will basically invite the client into Bloo. They will get an email, they'll need to accept the invite, and then they'll go through a simple setup flow where we just ask them a few questions like their name, and give them a chance to sort of upload a profile picture if they want to. And then they're in Bloo. and they'll only be able to see that one project that you're in. And then once you want to assign them something, you can essentially open a to-do and then go on assign and select your client team member and then assign them a to-do, right? Now, what we like to do on the agency side, essentially, I like to have a column that's actually dedicated for client tasks, and when we put all the things that they need to give to us, for example, or that they need to review in that one column. So then, when the clients log in, they have everything in one place. It's not spread around different columns. So that would be definitely one good tip.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. This one, we're going to tag team this question because we have some questions about how this deal works, which is to be expected because y'all are our first licensing deal. This is something that has been in the works at AppSumo for quite a while, and we are excited to finally be rolling out licensing. But I know that this is new to Sumolings, and we gotta communicate some of this, the changes to you, and also you won't be seeing this on every deal, but hopefully you will one day because I really like licensing. So the question that first came in is if I have purchased one code, but I want to go to unlimited, I just have to buy 4 more. And the way that licensing works is that you only buy a license for the terms that you need. So it's different from stacking. So if you want to go to unlimited, you would just buy the tier 5 license. It's just one purchase. You enter it one time. It's a little bit different than getting a bunch of codes to stack. So you might, Lorenzo, this is where I kind of fail at this. I think you have to contact support to upgrade it. I don't think that there's a way otherwise to do that, but I don't actually know.
I'm not sure. I think we had a few support requests, and I think maybe people just upgraded or downgraded by themselves, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, there might be a way to do it. And I know that this is something that I should know, and I knew everything up to this point, and then I failed at this part. You might have to contact AppSumo's support team, and they can do it for you. There might be a way that you will see to do it, but no, you don't have to buy. I will contact support. Thank you, Lorenzo. You will not have to buy 4 more codes. You just have to buy the license for the 5th tier.
You're welcome to buy 4 more codes if you want.
Totally can. Buy as many codes as you want. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to stop you from doing that.
So, yeah, and also I think the cool thing about the licensing, the codes also, is that I think in the old way of doing things with the codes, you have to get that code and then go and sign up on the third-party site, add your code in, and it's a little bit tricky. I think with the licensing that we've integrated directly with AppSumo, with the technical team. So essentially, you go through the flow and then you get thrown right into Bloo and it's all set up for you. There's nothing else to enter, right? You go right through. And even if you check out Bloo beforehand and you sign up for a free trial on our site and then go to AppSumo and then you decide you want to buy, we will automatically kind of link those 2 accounts together anyway, because we'll use the email that you put in the activation for the license, and as long as it's the same email that you registered in Bloo, that account will automatically be upgraded. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Lorenzo also asks, what reporting options are there?
Okay, good question. So we do have quite a few clients that use this for sales, including one company that has, I think, almost 1,600 people. So in terms of the reporting, right now we don't have reporting built in. However, what we do have that's coming out very shortly is the ability to import and export all your to-dos as a CSV file. So essentially what a lot of these companies are doing on the beta version is that they're basically exporting all their to-dos as a CSV, and then they can run their own analytics offline on that.
Awesome, thank you. I have just 2 more questions here, Sumolings, that I'm going to be asking. So if you would like to submit any, now is your chance to put them in the Q&A box. As soon as I said that, 1 came in. All right, so the next question that I wanted to ask you, we've gotten a few questions about who is considered a user in the deal terms. Is it administrators, members, clients, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So actually, right now, it's everybody is considered a user. So if you buy the sort of tier 1 where you have 30 people, that would include clients. However, we're actually changing that that functionality and the way that works. So essentially, clients and below will not count as part of your limit. So essentially, it will only be your team members or administrators.
Wonderful, thank you. Lorenzo had a follow-up question to the reporting. He wants to know, when can I get the CSV report or export, excuse me?
Good question. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be shipping that to beta this month. So then that will actually be accessible to everybody as well. So within December.
Wonderful. And then we got a question: how long has this product been available? I know Simolings are always curious about the company behind the tool. Can you tell us a little about you?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think we also had some questions on the page about, you know, wherever we were cash flow positive and that kind of stuff. So essentially, yeah, so Bloo has been under development since April 2018. But our main business and the office behind me is actually our design agency. So essentially we build, you know, products and services for quite large companies, you know, companies like Heineken or CBRE, Canon, etc. So yeah, so I think with that, it's been around a while, but yeah, it's sort of a product that we built for ourselves initially, and then we started to kind of sell online as more and more people kind of asked us if they could use it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, the last question here in the Q&A box. All right, I love the unlimited file number and file size aspect of the deal. It is almost magical, and this is, I'm sure, a shared thought amongst Simolings. They love file size. However, I am concerned that a few really heavy duty users might bog down the service. Should I be concerned? And another question just came in: what does the hosting infrastructure look like?
Okay, yeah, great question. So Bloo is hosted on AWS, that's Amazon Web Services. So I think with that reason, it's pretty scalable. The files that people upload are stored on what's called S3, simple storage service from Amazon. So it's basically, you know, Amazon is basically unlimited, you know, storage. Obviously, you have to pay for it, but it's not particularly expensive, and also it's a thing that gets cheaper, you know, for us every year, right? Because Amazon, in the long term, are constantly lowering their prices. The other thing that we've noticed as well is that with the way projects run, most files are accessed very frequently right at the beginning of their life, and then once files are sort of a month or so old, they're very, very rarely accessed again, right? Because the project is sort of done, it's archived. And so what we do is that we have a clever system that basically manages to move those to cheaper storage. So essentially, it doesn't cost us so much to host all the historical files. You know, the compromise there is a little bit slower to access older files, but it will only take a couple of seconds instead of being right away.
Y'all have thought of everything. Wonderful.
Right.
Lorenzo wants to know, who is the largest client you have? Is it you?
Good question. So, I mean, yeah, historically it was ourselves. We were the largest client. I think we've got about 180 people on our design agency account. Maybe let me check on that, but that should be roughly that. So yeah, we've got about 180 people in MAD, our design agency, with that. But I think there's so in terms of people numbers, there's definitely probably us and then a couple of other companies that have got maybe a bit more than that. But yeah, for us, you know, every client's important. We don't have different sizes of accounts. Really, obviously, AppSumo, there's different tiers, but our general pricing is flat pricing for everybody, regardless of how many people they have. So, you know, every client's got the same level of importance. Yeah. But actually, one cool thing, we have Tech in Asia as one of our clients, which is a pretty big tech publication based out of Singapore. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. The last question: is there a limit to the number of custom fields?
Not that I'm aware of. We've never encountered a limit. I mean, I think you know, obviously, if you were to have like hundreds and hundreds of custom fields, then at some point, obviously, your to-do would look a bit strange because you'd have to sort of scroll down forever. But I mean, no, there's no coded limit. I think it's just more of usability limit, right?
Cool. All right. And that's it for today. So Sumolings, thank you so much for joining us as always. If you have not already, you can go to appsumo.com/blue, that is BLOO, and redeem your licensing codes. This is starting at $49 for a lifetime deal. And of course is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So you can go ahead and get set up, play around with it, see how it works for you. And of course, once you've done that, we do love to read your reviews on the deal page. So far, we've gotten 9 reviews and a 5 taco rating. And of course, if you have any more questions, especially that we didn't get to today, you can always leave those questions on the deal page. Thank you so much, Manny and Sarah, for hanging out with us, for answering all those questions, for taking us on a tour. It has been great having y'all.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.